I was talking with a few speedrunners a few weeks ago, talking about perfect PBs, or what runs we'd want to have as our PBs, which is usually just like a thought experiment, just like to think about like what we would want to have. Because when you think about it, you can't really control when you get a good seed. You can control how you play it, you just can't control if it's good or not, because for all I know, this shipwreck could have had 0 iron in that chest, but instead it had 10, and that's probably one of the only reasons why this run exists. And we kept talking about what stuff we want to have in our run. Like, some people are saying, oh, I want to do this cool strategy, I want to hit this 0 cycle, I want to do this niche micro optimization, I want to do this bastion route. And it's all like really cool to think about like ideal strats, and it does speak a lot about what we practice for as speedrunners. But truly, like I said, at the end of the day, you just can't control the seeds you roll, which I didn't expect that to rhyme, so I'm going to be taking up lessons in poetry. This is my 1026 PB. About 10 months ago, I beat Minecraft in under 11 minutes for the first time with a final time of 10:38. And that run is very interesting for a few reasons. The first reason is that the ender's kind of slow, but the nether is insane, which obviously is what you expect from a run. But one of the most interesting things about it is my second portal landed me right in the portal room. So I got a 9, I think it was 14 end enter, without a sub 9 stronghold, which now that I say that out loud, isn't very impressive. It just took me a while to like craft my remaining eyes, put them in, but it's whatever. Now, I have been on plenty of pace to beat that run since. It did take a while for it to catch up, and it actually all started in, I think it was March, or maybe it was April. One of those 2 months, where I was just playing RSG while in a call with some friends, and me and this other speedrunner, Frigid, rolled 2 seeds at the same time. He entered first on his and got one of his fastest paces ever. It was like a 4:30 or something blind. 4:30 first portal, actually. He had 20 obsidian off of like sub 3:30 second structure as well, which is just world record pace, and he got unlucky. And at the same time, I had a sub 5-4 and then a 6-minute first portal, which ended up being a 7-minute stronghold, and being my first real like sub 9 pace into the stronghold, and I guess sub 10 pace if you think about it. But yeah, that was the first thing that really showed me, hey, I can do this. And then since then, I had gotten 2 more sub 10, or not sub 10 paces, I'll say sub 9 strongholds. And the truth is, they all kinda went to shit. Where the first 2, the sub 8, I navved it poorly. It took me like 3 minutes to find the portal room. Partially was my fault, but partially wasn't, because I had a very promising spike down the middle, and the portal room was just not down mid, and that really pissed me off, because that could have been a really good run. But now it's just a good split time for the books. The second one, I navved bad, but less bad. I found it in like 50 seconds, but I didn't have enough eyes to complete the portal. The third one, I could have went for the one-shot strategy, which I don't actually know, so I probably wouldn't have hit it. But I ended up hitting up the library and completing it in sub 12. So my point is, I've been on more pace to beat my old PB than I'd ever been. Because, let's be real, in the past, there have been times in the past where I've just taken breaks for long periods of time from RSG to do stuff like playing ranked. There was this one content creation grind in January I had where I uploaded like 20 videos in 20 days, which was kind of absurd. I've spent a lot of time making huge projects, custom seeds, escape rooms. So honestly, RSG just isn't the only thing I do in this game, which is kind of shocking, but there are some runners that just will only do RSG, and then they have insane times, like sub 9. And now is about the time where I decide to leave the Bastion, sub 5 Bastion leave. Now, I did see the fort across from the home portal. And here is something interesting about the runs, because in fast runs, most of them just happen to have 20 obsidian. And the reason for that is it allows you to make 2 portals in the nether, and those endgames are super, super consistent. You're able to travel just always less than 300 blocks in the nether to get to your stronghold, like pretty much no matter what. Obviously, the terrain can be bad, and it can be a bit fucked up, but otherwise, they're pretty consistent, and top runners have shown that getting sub 3, sub 230, sub 2 endgames pretty much. And I'm arriving at this fort at like 5 minutes and 20 something seconds after whiffing a pearl hang. And I decided to play the home portal because it simulates the 20 obsidian, and while I do have to swim up from the ravine, I still get the benefit of being able to go through the nether instead of the overworld, because if I have a bad blind travel, it could be pretty bad. And that's a very unfortunate mishap there, falling off. But luckily my blazes this run do give me lots of fortune. My blaze rod rates, pretty good. And I can already see 4 blazes on my screen, 2 or 3 through windows, and the one that I just killed right there. Now, I've had plenty of sub-7 blinds, but most of them have all failed for various reasons, such as not having enough eyes, needing to dig up. There's been many cases I've had where I've just needed to dig up all the way through a bunch of terrain and then dig all the way back down. So by the time I'm re-entering the nether, it's like 8 minutes and the pace is just dead. And there's just nothing I can do. But now I know that there is some ravine, which means that I can place some soul sand, go up really quickly, get my bow die down, and then be able to locate the stronghold very, very quickly. I'm able to do my boat measurement here, which I only paused for like a second and a half according to the retime at the end of the run. And this distance actually shocked me. You really don't expect it to be this close to Origin. But granted, I could have had spawn displacement, and I did swim out a lot, so technically was pushing chords, which is pretty cool. This part of the run made my heart drop. I pearled into a zombified pig. And at this point is where I'm starting to freak out, because I know that, hey, this could be pretty good, but the terrain does look bad going into this basalt, before I eventually realize, hey, this terrain's pretty good. I'm 38 blocks away, and I have just a perfect place to pearl down to right there. And now I know I'm like 10 blocks away, so I'm kind of freaking out, because I know that this pace can be really good. I try to figure out like where to get to chords. This lava, though, does scare me, but I'm able to figure out eventually that I can just go around it before building my portal to go to the portal room. Now, there's one more thing I need to talk about. Zero cycling. I have 6 explosives, which is just generally enough to go for a 0 cycle. I also have plenty of food, plenty of pearls, so as long as I'm able to find the portal room, which I get a beautiful spike down bottom right, it should just be a non-issue. And yeah, you can see it right here. I have the portal room. Try to get some solid block that isn't wool into my inventory to stand on. And yeah, the only issue is I just don't have good blocks. I have soul sand and gravel, but those are really iffy to use for a 0 cycle. And I have a few 16 polished blackstone bricks. Usually, those aren't enough. And it's front 103, the tallest 0 cycle tower. The top setup is very, very hard for me. The side setup is easier, but it usually takes me at least 6 explosives, if they're all beds, and the dragon has a chance of flying away. I decide I'm just going to play for the perch. And here is where my heart stops, because I think it was going right there. And that would have been a very low, or not a very low, a very high 9-minute time. Because my end ender was 8:42, and I thought it was going to be a 9.3x. Anyways, At this point, if the dragon perches right now, it can still sub 10. This is my fastest end enter by over 30 seconds, and I'm hella nervous. But at this point, I realize it can't sub 10. My nerves die down a little bit. And obviously, the dragon perch does decide many, many runs. It can just make or break, like point blank, but it's the game we play. Sometimes we get lucky, sometimes we don't. And right here, I see it be about to go in, and I can tell it's just perching right now, so I go to set it up. And at this point I know, okay, I've never messed up a one cycle in my life. It's going to PB. And the first bed is amazing, second bed pretty good, third bed's kind of bad, and I'm able to finish it off with a 4+1. Not as good as a 4 bed like in my old PB, but hey, I will take it, because I like improving, and any improvement is good. And yes, I'm going for sub 10.